Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Toe on the Rubber special. I'm your host, Devon Alsman, and fellow co-host Johnny Clumpy is unavailable today. So instead, we'll be joining a fellow Cubs fan, Vincent LaFollette. And today we are joined by a special fellow Cubs fan and podcast host, Sam Olbur. Sam, do you want to say hi to everyone?
How's it going, everybody? Glad to be here. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, very excited to talk to you today as I've watched you for a bit now with Locked on Cubs, and I love listening to your ideas. You and Matt talk about the Cubs 5 days a week, and it's very entertaining to hear you guys talk about the Cubs. They're the best team to listen to, really.
I appreciate you saying that.
But I want to get started with the 2016 Cubs. They're the obviously the big thing, and stuff like that because I know that's the day they won is November 2nd, which is also your birthday. How
Yeah.
special was that kind of present, really?
Yeah, it was 9 years ago almost to the day, a little bit more now. So you guys were, probably 9, 10 years old,
Yeah.
whatever it was. It was one of the most stressful days of my entire life. I remember that, they were down 3-1 and they won games five, and then they won game six on November 1st. And that game, if you remember, you might not, but game six, it was a blowout for most of it. The game was in hand for essentially, first inning, second inning on. And I started to just get so nervous about game seven during game six. And I woke up and everybody, was calling me on my birthday. And at that time, I had just graduated college and I wasn't really doing anything. I was writing for this place and I was driving for Uber. I didn't really have like a full-time job yet. So like my whole day was open and people were like, "Hey, happy birthday." And I was just like, just stop, just stop. And I remember the whole day, the entire day, I had a smoothie from Burger King. That was it. Cause when I get real stressed, I don't eat a lot. And, my mom, I was living at my mom's at the time, and, she had my two best friends come over for the game and she made this whole spread of like, you know, all my favorite foods, whatever. It was my 23rd birthday. Didn't eat one thing until the final out was recorded. We celebrated for a while, and I was actually doing like some sort of media something show after. Finished it, and it wasn't until about 1 in the morning where I ate food again.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very stressful night. I
Mm.
don't remember much from that game. I was much younger. Vincent, though,
Oh
does remember
gosh,
some
yeah.
things. He was more when I was in 2016. I wasn't that big of a Cubs fan yet. Vincent was though, so he knows a bit about that.
Tell you what, I was crying during the rain delay.
Yeah,
After Aroldis Chapman led up the home run to Rajay Davis. So, yeah, I was pretty
it
nervous
was.
too.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't even want to think about that.
But you talked about Kyle Hendricks just retired as well, and he pitched that game seven. You've
Yeah.
talked about how big it was for him, how much you respect him. How do you want to just talk about that a little?
Yeah, well, in game six of the championship series against the Dodgers, he threw like whatever it was, 7 1/3, 7 2/3 shutout innings against Clayton Kershaw, and he was really good at home that year. He had the best ERA in baseball that year. But yeah, I mean, I just think he pitched two of the biggest games in the history of the franchise, and he actually got taken out too early in Game Seven of the World Series, and luckily it didn't cost the Cubs anything. But yeah, just tons of respect for him. I mean, I think as you guys get older and experience the world a little bit, not saying you haven't, but as adults, you'll gain much more of an appreciation for people that can be at their best in the toughest moments, because life comes at you and it's really stressful and it's very hard to keep an even keel. It just is, There's great things in life, there's really bad things in life, and I think Hendricks was just such a great example. There's different examples of everybody. Like Lester, for example, he was somebody that raised his level. When the moment got bigger, he raised his level. With Hendricks, he just had this ability to be the same guy at all times. And it doesn't sound like a lot now, but as you get older, you'll respect that quality more, as
And
life goes.
Hendricks as well, even at the towards end of his Cubs tenure as well, he still did that against the Cardinals, especially still able to
Yeah.
very much whenever it was the Cardinals, he would still somehow just find a different way to pitch well. I know one of his last starts was against St. Louis, and he pitched really well for the
Hmm.
Cubs at least. So
Yeah.
that was fun. But as well, Jameson Tyone. did kind of somewhat similar. Obviously, it wasn't Game 7 of the World Series,
Sure.
but he was very unexpected for the Cubs for this postseason. I believe we can all agree to that. I don't think we expected him to be as well as he was, as Cade Horton went down. Boyd and Imanaga struggled, but Tyone was really solid in his outings in the postseason.
Yeah, he threw 8 innings and 2 starts. They don't let guys go long anymore. And I think he gave up 2 runs, but one of the runs he gave up, if you remember, well, you guys might have been in school during the time. I think it was during the day. But if you remember, they botched a infield fly, which was it was insane. So he really gave up 1 run in 8 innings, and yeah, he stepped up. He stepped up. So yeah, that's the right comparison. Not to that level, but
Yeah.
but yeah, he stepped up and pitched well, and I think he gained a lot of respect.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice for him to be able to step up. I very much enjoyed it as kind of like you. I agreed that Tyone was I don't think his contract is bad, but like
Mhm.
going into it, it was just he wasn't he had a he's had an up and down Cubs tenure before
Sure.
that, but I
Yeah.
think that postseason really made him a Cub, I would say, in a
Agree.
way. So
Couldn't have said,
I
yeah.
think that's really cool. But and then you guys did your awards on Locked On Cubs, and
Mhm.
you guys said that the Player of the Year was Nico Horner, followed by there was Bush and PCA. But how I don't know if this is the right word, but disappointing is that Kyle Tucker wasn't one of the top three. Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, it's disappointing. Disappointing. Because at the All-Star break or whatever you want to date it back to, he was probably second behind Pete. Yeah, and he fell off, and it was really disappointing. And it was a situation where you traded for a guy to come in and be a superstar, right? I mean, it's a risk that you take. I personally think they took the risk and were happy to take the risk because it also helped them out financially as well, which is a different story, which we don't have to get into. That might
Yeah,
bore your younger listeners. Um, but yeah, he just didn't perform like a superstar. I mean, in the second half, and Matt and I have argued about this. I mean, it sounds like you listen to a good amount of the shows,
yeah,
so you know this. I mean, Matt says, well, he was great for this amount of games, whatever. I don't care about the amount of games. From July, August, September, and October, he was at best very mediocre. And that hurt the team. It is what it is. I mean, this is a hard thing. Being a professional athlete, we always talk about, well, these guys are overpaid. They get paid too much money. And that's a separate conversation, all in all. But one of the reasons they get paid, it's really hard. It's not easy. The expectations, I don't want to be Kyle Tucker. He guy could have all the money in the world. When an entire city's going, hey, it's time to start hitting, and he's not hitting, that's not a fun place to be. But that's why he gets paid what he does. That's why he's about to sign a $300+ million contract, and he just didn't. The second half of the season, he wasn't good enough, point blank.
yeah. I very much agree with the Tucker and everything.
Does
It's
the
just
other guy ever ask a question?
Sorry.
Or is he a producer?
no, he. You
Oh,
got yeah.
you don't
Go
have
ahead.
to. You don't have to. I'm
No,
just saying.
it's fine.
You're welcome to
Um,
ask me something too.
with Kyle Tucker, the back half of the season especially, it felt a lot like how people were complaining about Jason Hayward because he was like a lot of people say Jason Hayward was overpaid. I didn't mind that, but he just didn't perform the way people thought he would. And that's how I felt the whole Kyle Tucker thing was. It was just kind of disappointing the whole time, like you said.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as Hayward's, but yeah, right. To me, it was like, yeah, the second half of the year he hit a lot like Hayward.
Yeah.
The whole totality of it wasn't that bad. That was like a 7 year, $180 million contract. But
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. I agree. Just wanted to get you involved.
gotcha.
But yeah, I agree. The Tucker thing was just kind of disappointing overall. And then the prospects they gave up, or the one prospect, obviously the two was Nesky and stuff. That kind of it didn't work out in Chicago.
Yeah, don't worry about Wisniewski.
Yeah. I remember the one start against the Cardinals that you were live for. That was
Oh, you watched that?
yeah. I was
Oh, that was horrible. I did a watch along. Speaking of what you just said 5 minutes ago, Hendricks threw the night before. He threw a 7 inning shutout. Cubs were winning. Looked like they were getting back in the race. They were playing really well. So I'm like, all right, I'll do an impromptu watch along. And after the first inning, they were down 11-1. and I had to sit through that with all the listeners because Wisniewski couldn't get anybody out.
But the Cam Smith, obviously, luckily we have Shaw kind of filling in for the Cam Smith, so it's not that big. Obviously, he was kind of expendable in a way, kind of due to having Shaw. But overall, I think the Cubs offense is something to look at, especially when Jed's talking about. Vincent, do you want to talk about how ask the
He
question
doesn't
about
have to.
Cubs?
If that wasn't your plan, don't be forced. Do whatever your plan was. You do what you guys need to do. I'm just messing around.
You're really quick. It's just uh this this your this
Yeah,
Vincent's
this is
first
my
time.
first one. So
So
Got
he's
it.
yeah.
so we're letting him ease into it. But you want to go ahead?
Um, yeah, so I guess like with the 2023 Cubs, they were ranked 10th in weighted runs created plus, which even after that, Jed only added one really big offensive upgrade with Michael Bush. And then in 2024, they had a league average 100 weighted runs created plus, which was 17th in the league. Uh, and in 2025, the Cubs got Kyle Tucker and had the sixth best offense. And now Jed is saying basically the same thing about the 2025 season. Like,
Right.
do you think we'll see a dip in offense, just like 2023 to 2024, or how might he play this?
Absolutely. I think if they don't add anybody offensively, their offense isn't going to be that good because the WRC stuff that you just said, them being sixth is because the first 3 months of the year they were one
Mm-hmm.
or two the
Yeah,
whole year. After that, they were mid level.
it
Why were
was
they?
like this year.
Why were they? Why? Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 25. Why were they mid level the second half of the year? I'm at
Because
Tucker
started and
Tucker
was
because
not
Tucker,
performing.
right,
Yeah.
right. So now he's gone. So essentially, he's not performing because he's not going to be there, which was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the reason that he didn't perform well in the second half because he wasn't available. And if you just don't replace that and you hand the keys over to some, a 22-year-old kid, they're not going to be sixth again. But my biggest fear is exactly, I forget the guy on the name's left. What's your name again on the left?
Vincent.
Vincent.
Yeah.
What you just said is exactly my fear. 2024 and 2026 being very similar. You look up, it's like the 17th best offense again. The pitching's okay. I mean, they're right on a path to 85, 86 get wins if they don't figure something out offensively, or maybe they get lucky and somebody like Shaw or Ballesteros just overperforms like Pete
Mm-hmm.
did in the first half and whatever. But I don't like to live based off of hoping to get lucky, you
Yeah,
know?
because you interviewed or you posted today with Tim Grunhard talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
rookies and stuff, and
Right.
you're trying to rely on Moses Ballesteros and Shaw and Pete. Obviously, Pete probably fell off due to what Grunhard talked about today with the rookies and stuff. Once
Mhm.
they're not used to the 162, and we're expecting Moses and them now to do that if
Right.
we don't get a replacement. So,
100%.
but I've kind of put together kind of a couple free agents I think Cubs should get. And I just want to see kind of what you think. I agree with the Schwarber. I think Kyle Schwarber would be the other than Tucker is the best fit for the Cubs to get and
Mhm.
help the offense. I think he can fill in for the star role, and I think his strengths won't very much degenerate with age due to just eye and power. I feel like will last a bit longer with age.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't think it'll happen, but I
Yeah.
want it to happen. And it's also like Tim was saying today, I think Schwarber brings a little bit different dynamic to the clubhouse, a little bit more of a expected to win mentality. I don't know if you guys watched the whole interview, but at the end of the interview, he was talking about like when Joe Montana, who's obviously way before your times, before my time, but I'm sure you've heard of him. When Joe Montana went to the Chiefs, just like just bringing a presence, right, a little presence with you that I don't think Tucker had, that I think Schwarber
Yeah.
does have.
Yeah, for sure. That was kind of the one I don't think will happen. I'm hoping though that Joe Ryan is I think that's the pitcher that the Cubs should go and
in a
trade for.
in a trade. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think a trade. I think it's either going to be one of the lesser starters like in free agency, not lesser, but not one of the big name guys because they don't want to spend money, or a
Yeah.
trade, and then they'll fill out the offense with some sort of hybrid DFA guys, or
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
yeah,
kind of
nothing
what
that's gonna
I've
be
came to a
exciting.
conclusion. I have Ahmed Rosario and Randall Grichuk are like my thought process for that.
Yeah, yeah, that really depresses me.
I it, it it's it's upsetting that, to be honest, that we're talking about the Cubs getting those kind of guys when,
Can we not spend any time on
yeah,
Randall Grichuk and Ahmed
yeah,
Rosario?
no. And then what do you think the Cubs
But you're right
bullpen?
because they're going to
Yeah,
fight. Randall Grichuk hits lefties, right? Is
yeah,
that the premise? That's the
yeah.
premise on that.
Grichuk
Yeah.
and Ahmed both hit lefties. That's
Right. Right.
that's the then
Excuse me.
the Cubs bullpen. What do you think about that? What do you think upgrades need to happen there exactly?
Yeah, that's more complicated. That's more Grichuk Rosario type guys, right? Because like these bullpen guys are so hard to predict, and you look at what Keller was able to do. That was a guy that we would have rolled our eyes at last year, and I voted him for best pitcher.
Yeah,
I voted for the best pitcher of the year for the Cubs award. So I think that's more where you fill it out piece by piece, not worry as much about the name and the money attached to it. Whereas, offensively, I like to see them go get more of an established commodity.
yeah. I very much hope they go and get some offensive piece. That's what the Cubs need. That the Cubs should be spending. They're a one of the biggest franchises, and I would say all of sports. They're one of the most well known there is.
Mm.
Not just baseball, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you a question about not baseball, but your favorite athlete. I believe you've mentioned is Lionel Messi.
Yeah, man.
Is that correct?
What did I eat this morning for breakfast?
Um, but how did you become a fan of him? As you're a baseball Bears fan, Cubs
Yeah,
fan,
it's a
how
great,
did
yeah,
you?
great question. Great question. Great homework. Um, so my best friend growing up, still my best friend to this day, he was my roommate after college for a while. Was a diehard soccer fan, and so we'd play FIFA all the time, and growing up, and I didn't like soccer. I wasn't good at it. I didn't understand it. And I didn't like it, but in order to you know play games with him and keep up with him, I had to get into it, and so it was right around 2011. Yeah, it was a 2011 Champions League final where he was like, "Hey, pop on this soccer game and just watch this little guy play." And I did. And after that, I was like fascinated with how much better he was than everybody else. And since, as you mentioned, I'm a Cubs fan, and most of my life haven't been very good. The Bears have won one playoff game since I could legally drive a vehicle. Uh, the Bulls. I was too young for Michael Jordan. I never root for good teams, Illinois sports. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this one, and I'm just going to pick the best guy, and I'm going to root for him. And then I just fell in love with him. I fell in love with his personality, the ups and downs of it. To this day, it's like the Cubs are one for me, and then like right under that, 1B is Messi. I'm fully in love with the guy as an athlete.
So would you say Messi's your goat of soccer then? Because for me, I was always like, I loved Cristiano Ronaldo over
Uh-huh.
Messi, but I would say, given the
Yeah,
2020 World Cup or 2020, I don't remember what year it was, but
2022. Yeah.
22, yeah. After that, I would give the edge to Messi over Ronaldo in greatness.
Vincent, you were on such a high level for me, and now it's all gone. Uh, Anybody that actually religiously watches soccer on a,
Mhm,
now granted, to be fair to you, when they were competing against each other, you were too young, right? When Ronaldo was at Madrid and Messi was at Barcelona.
mhm.
But if you actually watch regularly and think Ronaldo's better, there's you're missing it. You're missing that one. That debate that rivalry it's all a media based hashed out thing.
Mhm.
It's the perfect story. You have this great looking, athletic, incredible player that Ronaldo is on one side versus this little guy that looks like if he didn't play soccer, he was an accountant. He never says anything. He doesn't talk. And you put them together, it's the perfect rivalry. It's similar personality wise to like Bird and Magic in the '80s, and so it sold the sport. But when it comes to actually the ability on the field, it's actually not that close. It really is. I'm not just
Mhm.
saying to you in a bias. I promise.
Gotcha, yeah.
With you being such a big sports fan in so many sports, I didn't know the history on the soccer and Messi thing, but I believe you do coaching and stuff. You've talked about it a bit
Yeah.
as well. How do you translate your sports fandom stuff to teaching, I assume, younger kids to play sports?
Yeah, it's different. The company that I work for, I don't coach as much anymore, but it was really little kids, like 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7. So it was more of a different skill set of like just learning how to talk to younger kids versus actually putting in my sports
Yeah.
knowledge, if you will, because they're younger. But yeah, I mean, it's all connected. It's all connected, just trying to teach people the game and, think outside the box and not do everything that everybody else does.
Yeah. I'm, I
That's,
I think that's a good way. I've played baseball since I was young as well. Vincent
Yeah, I
as
have as
well.
well. Yeah.
So we've seen multiple coaches before and had our fair share of learning and stuff. But I want to ask you, as I've said, you're a Bears fan as well. What do you think
uh
of this year's Bears?
yeah, it's the weirdest Bears team I've ever rooted for. Um, in 2001, they had a team that went 13-3 that wasn't very good either. They won a lot of games last second, last minute, and they ended up they won the division. They got a bye, and then lost to the Eagles at home like pretty handily. And that's the closest comparison to this team because I don't think they're very good, but I love the way that they're coached. It's such a huge difference. Like I literally think they probably would have been 7-3 at this time last year with this coach. And I think the quarterback's playing better. And so the fact that the coach is good and the quarterback's playing better is pretty much all I could ask for this season. And the fact that it's resulting in a lot of wins is just a bonus.
Yeah, I've started recently getting into the NFL and I'm a Bears fan because of Chicago and area, and I've thought this year's been entertaining. Obviously, it's kind of aggravating that they lost to JJ McCarthy in week 1 and stuff like that, but overall, I've thought it's been a pretty good season for the Bears.
What is are you closer to Chicago than you are Indianapolis?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we're an hour away from Chicago, and then
Oh, okay.
multiple
Okay.
hours from Indy. So yeah,
Got it. Got it.
so we're close to Chicago, but my family is all Cubs fans. Or is your whole family Cubs
Yeah,
fans
my
as
whole
well?
family's
So
all Cubs fans too.
Well,
So yeah.
Cubs fans make sense, but I just didn't know.
mhm.
I forget where you guys say you're from in
Mhm.
Indiana because Indiana, you obviously have the Colts. So
Yeah, yeah. We're my family's not that big of football, but they're just going to we're closer to the Chicago, so Bears is kind of more of who we root for sure. But you talked about the coaching for the Bears and stuff,
yeah,
and the Cubs as well. Also, they brought in Cease or Craig Counsell to be this kind of the same way. How do you think he's built the expectation of how he's came in?
yeah, it's different in baseball than it is in football.
Yeah.
Football, the coach has much more of an impact on the result of the game versus baseball, which is where I messed up. I thought I was not a big David Ross fan in terms of his managing techniques. And I watching Council from afar in Milwaukee, I was such a huge fan of his, and I really thought it was going to flip things. And I'll tell you who else thought that way was Jed Hoyer, because that's why they got Council in and basically ran back the same team because they thought that was going to make all the difference.
Mhm.
Um, but I learned pretty quickly that that's just not how it works, and
Yeah.
it's on the margins. I think he's done a fine job. His personality it's like a Valium to me. I can't like when I listen to him, I get very sleepy. I wish that he was just a little bit more. I wish I was a little bit more like him, and I wish he was a little bit more like me. But he's fine. He's good enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I kind of agree. I've heard you say flip a table once or twice is kind of what he should do. I mean,
Just anything.
yeah. I mean, I think he should show a bit more emotion, especially with
Yeah.
Seiya Suzuki with some of the strikes
Yeah,
Seiya
right.
gets, especially. I think that would be a major thing overall.
I know a lot of people hated David Ross, but I one thing I loved was how he got fired up and he would yell at the umpires if he had to. He got in their faces and I liked that over Council a lot more, but I will obviously say Council is the better manager for
Yeah,
sure.
hate's strong. Definitely didn't
Okay,
hate
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But he just made too many moves that at this level, if you're watching from home and you have a semblance of what's going on and what the numbers are, you just can't make those moves. But yeah, I agree. I think maybe I should have corrected myself. I wish they each could have been a little bit more like each other versus putting myself into it, who's never going to manage a team. This probably would have been a better comp to make.
No, I I include myself whenever talking with Cubs. I say we a lot. Like
Yeah, right.
that's just how the sport. You think of yourself as part of it in a way, I would say. But I kind of want to end this interview kind of with how you and Matt end some of your shows with trivia.
Yeah, hit
So,
me, man. Hit me.
over the last 10 seasons, 4 Cubs have placed in the top 5 of NL Rookie of the Year. Who are these 4 players?
Over the last 10 seasons, so 26, we're in 2025, so
Yeah.
2015, Rookie of the Year, and you said 4 of them?
I believe 4. Yes.
And you said top 5.
Top 5.
Cade,
Yes.
Schwarber. Schwarber not in 2015?
Maybe. I didn't get that one if it was.
Well, no,
Schwarber.
trust yourself.
Sure.
If it's not on your list, he's not on your list.
I don't believe Schwarber was.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but we'll see.
20. I'm just thinking it's obviously somebody,
Yeah.
one of the 2015 guys. Bryant, of course.
Yeah.
Um,
And then there's two that were there's one that's kind of difficult and then the other one's a little.
well, Bryant won the award.
Yeah, Brian won it.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking, no, because Schwarber made his debut in 15. Okay, I'm moving on. I'm sorry. Let me think here. It's a phenomenal question. I don't want to waste too much of your guys' time. I'm just trying to think. 15, 16 rookies. Did Morel finish top 5?
No.
No, it's a terrible guess. Give me some sort of something.
Both have been in the 2020s. That
Ugh,
helps.
jeez.
The 2020s era.
Ugh.
Oh.
The 2020s era. Okay,
Yeah.
well, 2020, I'm ruling out.
Yeah, no.
21. Oh man, some of these teams were so bad.
Yeah. But there's one thing that the reason why he's kind of the reason I made this trivia question because he's the one that's a bit difficult.
Okay. Yeah. Was it from the 21 team?
Yeah, it was from 21 team.
Oh man. Not no, Ortega wasn't a rookie.
No.
One of these. I feel like I'm. Oh, was it Frank Schwindel?
It wasn't. It was his. It was
Patrick
the other
Wisdom.
one. It was Wisdom. Yeah, Wisdom placed 4th that year.
Wisdom. I should have gotten that. Yeah.
And then there's one more guy, and it seems so far long ago, even though it's still in the 2020s.
He was an old rookie. I will say that.
Yeah.
He was old for a rookie.
Wasn't Steele, because he was 21. I don't know. You tell me.
Shota.
Oh, of course. I don't count him as a rookie. No. Great
Yeah.
question. I want to look up the 2015 Rookie of the Year. How is Schwarber not on that?
I might have missed it.
I don't think you missed it. I think you're being insecure for no reason. You did the research. All your research has been right so far. And I want to know who. I just want to know who finished ahead of him.
Pretty sure
He wasn't even close. Schwarber.
Okay.
Am I blanking? Didn't Schwarber? He must have just not played enough. Hold on. We got to solve this before we move on. This is gonna bother me. What were his numbers in 2015? I'm looking it up right now.
He only played 69 games that year.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay,
Mm.
that's what it was. Just not enough games because he had like so many home runs.
Yeah, I'm Klaus Schwarber's one of my favorite non-Cubs. Obviously, he was a Cub, but he's one of my favorite players. That's why I hope we bring him back
So
for sure.
Bryant, Horton, Wisdom, and Shota. That was really poor for me. I wasn't locked in. that was poor. And what did I get? 1 or 2 of those for? That's inexcusable.
It's
Those
fine.
those were all easy. Wisdom's easy. He was an easy. In 2021 he was like the best hitter on the planet for 2 or 3 weeks before they started to stink.
He broke the home run rookie record for the Cubs. That's what I remember him for. It was in Milwaukee, I believe.
Yeah, he was like my age.
But yeah, so interesting teams the Cubs have had for sure in these past years, building up to hopefully this coming year they make a good team that obviously no matter what people will watch, but hopefully it's entertaining
Yeah.
to watch.
Maybe we'll see Owen Casey in the Rookie of the Year race. So
I think he's gonna get traded.
you think?
Yeah. In fact, I'm like 95% sure.
I'm,
That's high. Like 75% sure.
yeah,
That's fair.
I think that the Joe Ryan or whoever is the
Yeah,
pitcher.
if you're
Yeah.
gonna go trade for one of those guys, he has to be in the deal.
Mhm.
So
I think Mo needs to stay. I think Mo's a great hitter.
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that's the one guy you protect and the prospect still of to keep because I think he's can very much be Kyle Schwarber like once he develops a bit more for sure. But thank you very much for joining us today. It was awesome to be able to talk to you about our favorite team, the Chicago Cubs, and be able to talk just about to be able to talk about you, get to know the Messi thing. I thought that was really cool to
Yeah,
learn
man.
about.
I appreciate you guys having me on. You clearly did your homework and did a great job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great rest of your day. I'm very excited to see what you and Matt have to talk about next week as well.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.